Have you ever gone snorkeling and in the middle of all the majesty and wonder of underwater life, you thought, gee, I wish I were in the cab of a big rig truck instead? Well, good news! Subnautica Below Zero brings you the Seatruck. It's got all the stuff you need. Oxygen, a sushi bar, a place to put your stuff, even a bed to skip the night if you're afraid of the dark. But is it an improvement over its predecessor, the iconic Cyclops from the first Subnautica? Well, no. Unless you really hated the Cyclops. But the only thing to really hate about it is its size. More on that later. But first, let's go back to the beginning. In the first Subnautica, the first vehicle you got was the small and nimble Seamoth, which, when you get it, is a great improvement over just swimming around, even with the assistance of the Sea Glide. The Seamoth offers you a new source of oxygen, so you no longer have to keep heading back to the surface every minute or so. It also gets you around faster, and offers some modest protection from predators. I always lose one Seamoth on my run over to the Aurora, to the point where I'm pretty sure it's canon to the game's lore. At this point, the gameplay loop involves picking a destination, heading there in the Seamoth, doing some stuff, and then turning around to head back home when your inventory is full or when you're low on food and water. While the Seamoth will take you pretty far in Subnautica, it cannot descend as deep into the ocean's depths as you need to go to complete the game. So there comes a time when you must leave it behind. And it's just as well, because by this point, you're probably getting annoyed with how frequently you have to return to your main base due to the small inventory size, or failure to pack enough snacks. Enter the Cyclops. It's a full-blown submarine that offers you both a means of transportation and the amenities of your base. The Cyclops is the most unique and innovative vehicle I've ever seen in a video game before, and it's a huge part of what makes Subnautica a truly special experience. First of all, just getting to the point where you're able to craft it feels like a huge achievement. You have to find 3 fragments for each of its 3 different parts, the bridge, the engine, and the hull, for 9 scans in total. Unlike acquiring other blueprints in the game, this is not just a simple matter of finding one fragment and then swimming around the general area to find the rest. Instead, you have to visit very different parts of the map to find all the scans that you'll need. So by the time you complete the whole blueprint, you'll feel like you've finally assembled Exodia. Then there's just the size of the thing. The game warns you that this vehicle is designed to be operated by a crew of 3, but you're gonna have to make a go of it on your own. The trade-off for the size is that the Cyclops can be turned into a fully functional mobile base, because you can use the habitat builder to build almost anything in it that you can build in a normal base. Storage? Check. Crafting? You can put it in the fabricator, modification station, even throw in a medkit fabricator and a radio while you're at it. If you want a bed, you can put that in there too. I mean, I never found a use for it because, you've got headlights, flashlights, sonar, flares, and so on, but sure, you can do it. Food and water? Plant your marble melon farm inside and you're set for life. Critically, you can also dock a smaller vehicle inside the Cyclops. This is the linchpin that really makes it a true mobile base. Now you can modify your gameplay loop to drive the Cyclops near where you want to go, depart from and return to the Cyclops using your smaller vehicle, and then head straight to your next destination without returning back to your main base if you don't want to. Once my Cyclops is fully kitted out, I find myself only returning to my base once in a great while for some resources that I have stored there, or plants grown in outdoor grow beds, which are sadly one key base component that you can't bring with you on the Cyclops. Believe me, I've tried. More than once. Its size does make it undeniably difficult to navigate. It's true that just driving this thing from A to B poses its own unique challenges. This size problem in and of itself is enough to turn a lot of players against the Cyclops, preferring to skip it and do their endgame diving in the prawn suit, or just free swimming it. I get that perspective, but I think that by not giving it a chance, players who do this are depriving themselves of a totally different way of experiencing the game. With the Cyclops, your endgame loop feels much different than the early game, like you've actually leveled up your ability to explore. But if you skip the Cyclops, you have to do the same early game loop the whole way through. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Oh yes, the Seatruck. In Below Zero, they tried to replace both the Seamoth and the Cyclops with the Seatruck. When you first get it, it's just a less cool version of the Seamoth that makes truck noises rather than the Seamoth's futuristic humming. Side note, why does the prawn suit in Below Zero sound like it's got a diesel engine, even though it runs on batteries? Anyway, you unlock more modules for the Seatruck that can be attached to the back, extending its utility and size. It seems like the developers are trying to give you the best of both worlds, the speed and maneuverability of the Seamoth, and the convenience of a mobile base. You need to dump your inventory? We've got a storage module. Need to do some crafting? Fabricator module. Running low on food and water? Aquarium module. You want a bed to skip the darkness of night? Sleeper module. Want to bring your prawn suit with you? Docking module. So on paper at least, it looks like the Seatruck delivers on its goals. For speed and maneuverability, you can quickly detach your train of modules and just drive around in the cab. Or you can park the whole truck and hop into your prawn suit to go look around. And you can stay away from your base for extended periods of time thanks to the mobile base features, but notably not nearly as long as the Cyclops allowed. For one thing, the aquarium module actually doesn't fully solve your food and water needs. It works by vacuuming up nearby fish that you can cook and eat, but you may still run out of water since it may not pick up bladderfish. Unlike the Cyclops, there's no way to bring your marble melon farm with you, so you don't have a sustainable source of water aboard. Another limiting factor that can send you back to base is power for your vehicle. The Seatruck lacks the thermal reactor upgrade that the Cyclops has, which turns any thermal vent into a gas station. Below Zero offers kind of a workaround in that the prawn suit still has the thermal reactor upgrade, so in a pinch you can park your prawn suit on top of a thermal vent, and then swap in your drained power cells from the Seatruck, but this is notably less convenient than just being able to park your Cyclops on top of the vent and then go adventuring in your prawn suit while it charges up. Also, the Cyclops has the advantage of having Subnautica's endgame zones being one giant oven, so you don't even need to seek out a good parking spot down there. One other issue that will send your Seatruck back to base early is that the storage module doesn't actually offer a ton of storage. It gives you just 72 inventory slots over 5 small lockers. By contrast, the big lockers that you can build in a Cyclops offer 48 slots each, wall lockers have 30 each, and you can build just a ton of these things in your Cyclops. I tend to just build a handful of big lockers in the central chamber, but I've seen some wild stuff on Reddit. Even if you don't go to these cartoonish extremes, as a practical matter, you never really run out of storage on the Cyclops. Especially since wherever you are on the map, you can always find some titanium to build more wall lockers. On the Seatruck, however, I found myself filling it up pretty easily when using just one storage module and the bit of storage provided by the Fabricator module. You can add more storage modules, but it comes at the cost of your truck becoming slower, longer, and more unwieldy. Which brings us to another issue with the Seatruck. While it starts out small and nimble, it feels progressively worse and worse to drive with each module added. I think this is partly psychological because your view out the front of the Seatruck is the same whether you have one module or 15, so your intuition is that it should drive the same as before, especially given that you have no way of seeing your train of modules while you're driving. I often found myself trying to turn the Seatruck and being confused as to why it was behaving so strangely, and then remembering it's because I'm towing a bunch of cars behind me. Where you were nimble and light before, suddenly it feels like the ocean has turned into jello all around you. Also, the fact that you have no visibility around the Seatruck other than your view out the front makes it even more difficult to maneuver as you add more modules. This thing could really use at least a backup camera. As a stark contrast, even though the Cyclops is way bigger, especially in terms of its height and width, it compensates by giving you 3 exterior camera angles to work with, in addition to your view out the front from the captain's chair. It also comes with automatic warnings showing you when parts of the sub are coming close to hitting something, a radar screen showing you nearby large predators, and a sonar upgrade to help you see in dark or murky waters. All these systems combine to make driving the Cyclops a pretty interactive experience. Very rarely are you able to just hold W towards your destination. Going down into the Lost River, for example, you're navigating a somewhat cramped entrance and keeping an eye on your tail to make sure you don't scrape it on the ground as you descend down an incline, all while being able to track the location of nearby predators. As for speed, the Seatruck actually feels unusably slow with 3 or more modules until you find the horsepower upgrade. But even with it, the Seatruck's speed decreases substantially with each module added. I found this made me really want to budget which modules I brought with me. If I need to return to my base for water anyway, for example, then I'll ditch the aquarium module. Do I really need the sleeper car? Not really, even though ditching it means that I also lose the jukebox, which is one of the cooler additions to the Seatruck. I tend to settle on just 3 modules: storage, fabricator, and docking, which keeps the speed pretty close to normal with the horsepower upgrade, and gives me most of what I want out of a mobile base, but not quite. The Cyclops didn't really require me to make this type of trade-off. Unless you count deciding which type of plant pot to use. Do you use basic, composite, or chic? I just can't choose. And finally, there's the elephant in the room, or Leviathan in the room, which is how do you interact with those big hostile creatures in these vehicles? The Cyclops has a lot of gameplay systems revolving around what I guess we'd call combat. Firstly, small and medium-sized predators completely ignore the Cyclops, which feels like such a relief after they've been so bothersome the whole game prior. For the large predators, you can keep track of their location using the radar system and also the exterior cameras to see exactly where they are. You also have some options to avoid detection. You can adjust your speed down, which lowers the radius at which enemies will hear you, and you have the option to rig for silent running, which allows you to further reduce that radius at the cost of some energy. And you can turn off the engines altogether to eliminate all noise while you wait for the monster to pass. These mechanics combine to make kind of a stealth minigame as you try to pass by hostiles undetected. But once the jig is up, you got more options. The shield generator makes the Cyclops immune to damage at a pretty high energy cost. You can launch a creature decoy and then speed out of there while the beast is distracted. If all of those measures have failed and you do take damage, there are yet further gameplay systems to interact with. As the Cyclops takes damage, holes in the hull form that you must go outside to repair. Parts of the interior may catch fire, and you'll need to grab a fire extinguisher and go put out the fires, or use the fire suppression system upgrade to do so from the bridge. If it's looking like your Cyclops is going to be destroyed, you get to enjoy the thrill of abandoning ship, and then looking on in horror as it explodes. And finally, if your Cyclops is sunk, it will turn into an explorable wreck, which is just a really nice touch. You can even recover items from storage this way. Overall, it's pretty clear to me that a lot of care went into this combat system for the Cyclops. The same cannot be said for the Seatruck. Firstly, the medium-sized predators will still come over and take a bite out of you as you pass by. It's not too bad, but it doesn't offer the same feeling of conquering that class of predators that the Cyclops did. One major gripe I have is your limited visibility means that you rarely see predators coming, big or small. With no exterior cameras or radar, or even the ability to look around outside of your immediate field of view, unless the Leviathan is directly in front of you, you're just guessing where it is based on sound. There are no options to avoid detection besides just trying to steer around them, which again is challenging since as you do so, you cannot see them. Once they do aggro, you've got one response, the perimeter defense attack, which is extremely effective, but anticlimactic. In the Cyclops, the sequence of turning on the shields as the beast approaches, then launching the decoy and gunning the engines out of there while looking back at them with the cameras, gives me a thrill every time. With the Seatruck, you just hit the perimeter defense button once they attack, and optionally hit your speed boost to get out of there a little bit faster. I eventually discovered that if you activate the perimeter defense quickly enough, your Seatruck actually takes no damage from the Shadow Leviathan's grab, removing all fear of them. I didn't even bother trying to avoid them anymore, since escaping them was so trivial that I could just drive right down the middle. Which is a pity, because it's meant to be the scariest thing in the game, where in the Cyclops you felt like a tactician, using a combination of tools to keep yourself out of danger, or escape it once the danger is upon you. The Seatruck just doesn't offer you many options, and avoiding large predators either feels impossible or pointless. Interactions with large enemies just were not fleshed out for Below Zero with nearly the same level of care as they were in the original. Overall, I obviously favor the Cyclops, but I do have to acknowledge that looking at the Seatruck in a vacuum, I would be sitting here saying that this is a very interesting and innovative idea for a vehicle, and its functionality fits into the game quite nicely both as a mode of transportation and has most of the features of a mobile base that one could ask for. And to give credit where it's due, the jukebox is a very nice addition, and the teleportation module is... Okay, wait, what is the teleportation module actually for? I mean, if you're off exploring in your prawn suit, you can't teleport back without leaving the prawn suit behind. It costs 1/3 of an ion cube per use, so you also can't really make it a habit to go explore without your prawn suit and then teleport back. I mean, I guess it's for emergency use, where your prawn suit has been destroyed and you need to get out of there quickly. I don't know, it never came up for me. Anyways, even though on paper it looks like the Seatruck gives players the best of both the Seamoth and the Cyclops from the first game, the devil is in the details. And in this case, the Seatruck just doesn't do it for me.